Hi guys, decided to put my face back in the videos because I haven't done it for a while, and I know you guys probably miss Rupert, and I thought also it's a bit more personal having my face in the videos. So what we're going to do is we're going to have the whole video but my face in it on the bottom right hand corner. And again, I'm giving away a Switch on the channel this month. All you need to do is like, subscribe and hit the bell, even though my face is now covering that part of the intro. And if you leave a comment on the video, it will guarantee yourself an entry into the competition, which will be drawn in November. So make sure you do that, and make sure you leave a comment on every video that you can. Claytano is also giving away a PS4 on his channel, so go and check him out. Okay, so today's video is going to be mostly about how to deal with mages, because I'm sure most of you have played games where it has been dominated by 6 mages or by dragon mages. Now, this is at Queen rank. I know a lot of the players in this lobby. Captain Solar, for instance, was playing in the GLL tournament and did really well just last night. So a lot of really good players. This is a Queen rank lobby in EU. And so I'm going to be focusing on sort of like specifics. Now, the composition, you'll have seen me build this composition a lot of times before. Spoilers, it is a hunter composition. I think hunters are very versatile right now. One of the problems with hunters, though, is unfortunately they can struggle a little bit when it comes to sort of late game if you don't have things like 3-star dwarf sniper, because you just don't have the damage output to deal. Or if you don't have magic crystals on your siren, you can also struggle. I made a big error here. I was actually looking after Rupert on this round and forgot to put a unit on the field, so I unfortunately lose 4 chances at items, which actually is a pretty big deal. So I didn't have a particularly good start, but I'm sure that we've all been there. I'm sure that we've all been in the scenario where you've just accidentally forgot to put a unit on for a round because you were distracted. And I want to show you that's not the end of the world. It's definitely a big deal. That was 4 chances of getting items, although I'm very, very lucky to have picked up a frantic mask from those items. And what I did is, because I had a goblin bonus plus a level 2 heaven bomber, I decided to stick the goblins on over anything else, because the goblins in my eyes are obviously at level 3 at the first PvP round. As long as no one is level 4, goblins are usually going to be your best option when it comes to kind of like competing on the board. Now, what I could have done here was sell werewolf and go up to level 5 and then put a heaven bomber on. That could have been a very viable way to play this round. Probably would have been the better way to play this round, given the fact that I kind of needed to protect my win streak here, because I was in a good position. Like, I'm in a situation right now where I've got 2 2-stars at level 5, round 5. So this is a good time to invest to protect my win streak. I know there's very little that is going to go wrong in this scenario. What I end up doing is putting werewolf on as a singular unit. I think out of the unit choices that I've got here, I have enough damage. So I've got a Gersis Ranger, I've got Heaven Bomber, and I've got Soul Breaker. I bring on werewolf because at this level it's very likely that he's going to get his ability off, and that means that I'm going to have 2 more tanks, or even 3 more tanks when werewolf transforms, to make sure that I can survive these rounds. Because what I am lacking in this composition early on is tanky units. So I've got loads of pairs here. I've got 3 sets of pairs, which is why I decide to make the roll happen. And I roll again, just looking to see if I can find a pair of Soul Breakers or Tusk Champions, because that would absolutely seal the deal. But I decided to roll in this scenario because A, I've got a strong composition, so I'm looking to protect my win streak. And B, I had a pair of God of Wars, I had a pair of Tusk Champions, and I had a pair of Soul Breakers. So I actually had a lot of pairs on my bench that I could use. Or I could viably find an upgrade for. So that's why I made the roll there. I wouldn't usually condone rolling before you've got a good economy going, but in my scenario, there is an ethos called spend to protect. So I'm spending gold in this scenario to protect my win streak. And I couldn't level up, so I couldn't spend gold to level up, but what I could do was spend gold to get my pairs. So spending gold to find pairs, to bolster the current strength of my composition, is actually genuinely very important. And that's why I'm rolling again here. And what I do find actually is I find myself a Evil Knight, which is going to give me the Gersis bonus. And actually that's a really big bonus in the early game, especially when you've got a 2-star Gersis Ranger. I'm actually kind of lucky because 2 people decided to open fort in this game, which is what I double checked on. So I ended up facing one guy with just the priest, and then one guy who actually full on open forted just straight afterwards. So I actually protected my win streak going into the neutral round, and then afterwards I found myself the Soul Reaper, which is obviously a really, really big part of the hunter composition that I want to build. Now, one of the things that I think has been difficult for me this game, on reflection, looking at this game in reverse, is that actually I haven't found many hunters. Like, I found myself a Shining Archer, but she's not good unless you're going for the Feathered Hunter build. And I haven't found myself Dwarf Sniper, who is a core hunter unit, and haven't found myself the Wind Ranger or the Siren. Now, for the most part, I would play, almost all the time, I would play Siren if I had magic crystals. So if I had mana generation, I'd play Siren. If I don't have mana generation, I play Wind Ranger. But what you'll find out in this game is that I need to play Siren, because the way that you deal with mages. Oh, Rupert's starting to crawl, by the way. He's he really likes my Ethernet cable, and he's currently grabbing my Ethernet cable. In fact, I don't know if I can show you. Rupert, you can see him just there, grabbing my Ethernet cable and playing with it on his playmat. So if well, luckily I don't need the internet for this bit, so if I disconnect, you won't know. But if I disconnect and I was streaming, then you'd know why, because Rupert's pulled the Ethernet cable out. So on a win streak here, I've got a really strong composition. Like I said, I feel pretty confident beating most people in this lobby right now. I think on reflection, I probably would have been better off going for something like a Beast Warrior comp. By the way, a guy picked up a God of War 3 at round 13. So he obviously hyper-rolled in some way, shape or form to get that. It's something that we talked about yesterday. It's like a hyper-roll strategy. If you guys want to watch that video, I would go and recommend it. It's a strategy about basically saving up as much gold as possible and then rolling down. Now, the reason I'm not leveling up to 7 here, by the way, guys, the reason I'm not leveling up to 7 on this round is because there's a guy with a God of War 3 in the game. Now, I know it's only a 1 in 7 chance that I face him, but if I spend that gold to level up and then I lose my win streak directly afterwards, I'm in an awful position. Like, I'm in a really, really bad position, and I can't afford. I beat everybody in this lobby other than the God of War guy, and I can't afford to lose my win streak if I just randomly go into the God of War guy. That would be a major issue for me. Luckily, I get into the Wolf round with a win streak protected, a plus 10, a 10 win streak, which is actually fantastic. I've won every single round since starting off the neutral rounds. And I basically decided to level up for this Wolf round, not because I think I'm going to beat it anyway, but this is a composition that is opposite to the Hyper Rogue compositions. This composition relies on getting 4-cost units, which means you want to be level 8 or level 9 as quickly as possible to find the 4-cost units as quickly as possible. This composition is not good and doesn't really benefit from hyper rolling for a 1-cost. If I was going for God of War, which, based on the things that I've got on my bench and my front line, God of War would be a good shout. The problem for going for God of War here, and something that I realized in sort of partway through this game, is that very unfortunately, a guy with a God of War 3 means there's a lot less God of Wars in the pool. And obviously that's going to be a major issue. There's a lot less God of Wars in the pool. And so it's going to be much more difficult for me to find a God of War. Simply because he's already got a lot of them. And there's also a guy that is playing God mages or 6 mages with God of War frontline, who is the guy called Bonsi in this lobby. You can see he's currently in 6th position. It's very, very, very tough for me to it's very tough for me to be able to get a God of War 3 here, because actually a lot of the God of Wars have already been taken. So I find myself a Siren, and Siren is part of that sort of critical duo of units that allow me to get the Marine bonus, because the Marine bonus is how you deal with mages in general, especially when you're playing Hunters. Hunters are a really good composition to actually deal with mages, especially if you can position well in the late game, because you can actually add a Marine bonus for free to your composition. The ideal addition for me here would actually be level 9 Tsunami Stalker, and would not be an Abyssal Guard. The reason Abyssal Guard is kind of lower down the scale... The reason Abyssal Guard is lower down the scale for me is because I would like a Pirate Captain and a Doom, realistically, and that would be my 3 warrior combo with the God of War, but obviously things change. Now I think... One second. Why have you suddenly got very grumpy? Why have you suddenly got very grumpy? Now, I think on reflection, actually adding an Abyssal Guard at this stage in the game and getting rid of God of War might have been a pretty good shout, because realistically, as I said, God of War is a bit of a pipeline dream for me right now. I'm also rolling pretty extensively. The reason I'm rolling, have been rolling pretty much every round, is because if you look at the lobby, you'll start to see more and more people picking up hunters. And I really want I want my core units online for my hunter game, and you can see that I really want like Dwarf Sniper 2, I really want Siren 2. Like, these are like core hunter units that I need to have online for my hunter build to work. So that's something that I'm dealing with here, and that's why I'm rolling a bit more extensively than I would have done usually, and why I'm actually avoiding going to level 8 super quickly. I'm actually not too bothered about going to level 8, simply because I'm just having a look at what I'm planning on doing here. Yes, that's right. Yeah, so I sell the God of War now because I just realized it's going to be very difficult for me to get a God of War 3 now that I'm also level 7 and going to level 8. And also there's a guy with a God of War 3 in the lobby already. So it's just not going to be very easy for me to get God of War. This is the guy that open forted into hyper rolling into a Glacier Knight comp. I really respect that. I think he did a good job. He was very lucky to find the Priest unit very early on, so he found Fortune Teller. And as you can see, I'm actually very close to a Gersis Ranger 3. I'm still healthy, so I can still trade HP for rolling or economy, and that's kind of what I'm doing here. I'm trading my HP for the potential to roll for 3-star Gersis Ranger. I'm also looking to find 2-star Siren, but realistically, I think this is the last level where I can really afford to like roll for the 1 costs. Everything after this is going to be looking for 4 cost units, because the 1 cost chances go down after this level. At level 8, your 1 cost chances go down pretty significantly. But I only need 1 more, so it's not like I'm rolling for multiple versions of this 1 cost. So I think a good option here is now start to go towards level 8, because I am behind in experience compared to almost everyone else in the lobby, because again, like I said, I have been focusing on rolling more so than anything else. And one of the drawbacks that you're seeing this game so far is that I don't have any magic crystals on my Siren, so I'm actually not getting my Siren ultimate off very quickly at all. Luckily, I find on the last level that I needed to, I find myself the Gersis Ranger 3, and actually this sets me up really nicely now, because getting to level 8 means I'm going to start to find more of the Pirate Captains, the Dooms, and the Sirens, but I've already got my 3-star Gersis Ranger, who I've actually decided to load up with damage rather than my Dwarf Sniper. The reason I've loaded up my Gersis Ranger over my Dwarf Sniper is because I got an Gersis Ranger very early on, and I put the Frantic Mask on her to protect my win streak. And so I would usually put, I would actually usually put damage onto Dwarf Sniper, but the reason I'm not is purely because I don't have him at level 3. If he was level 3, he would be the guy that I put most of my items on, or at least if I thought I was in a good enough position to get a Dwarf Sniper 3. If you don't think you're ever going to be in a good enough position to get a Dwarf Sniper 3, and you can get an Gersis Ranger 3, it's usually better to put it onto the Gersis Ranger, just because she has a really high attack speed, and she benefits really, and she obviously synergizes incredibly well with things like Frantic Mask. So right now I'm level 8. I do want to think about level 9. Now, I think realistically, bringing on an Abyssal Guard here would have been a good shout. In fact, I should have at some point brought on an Abyssal Guard here. The reason I didn't is I was being greedy. I really should have brought an Abyssal Guard on, because it gives me the warrior bonus for my front line, and it also allows me to get the marine bonus to deal with these mage players as well. But this is a really, really super tight lobby. You can see like there's a lot of really good players in this lobby playing a lot of different builds. And something that Captain Solar did is something that I'm going to try in my video tomorrow, which is just primarily playing an open fort strategy around hyper rolling. So open forting, but instead of leveling, you just roll. So open forting and getting a load of gold income really quickly, and then instead of leveling, you just roll. The only problem is that you really do need the priest to make it work. If you don't find the priest, it can be very difficult to make that work. But if you do find the priest, it could actually be really, really solid, and you can end up with a really good amount of HP going into the wolf round, which is like the most important round. And again, I bloody skipped another Abyssal Guard. Now, I'm not saying that I needed to. Okay, let me rephrase this. I'm not saying that it was like an unintentional skip. I think I was intentionally skipping it because I didn't feel like I needed it at this point. It was this particular round that made me think, okay, now I'm not strong enough to beat the mages without the marine bonus. So the sort of thinking that I want to give to you here is that it wasn't an intentional skip in the sense that It wasn't an intentional skip in this, or unintentional skip in the sense that I missed it. It was more that I didn't feel like I needed it, and I would prefer to have had the Dwarf Sniper 2 in for the extra damage. So it's for me, it's like I didn't feel like I needed it, but it was that one mage round that made me realize, okay, this Tortola Elder is wiping out my entire lineup, and so I do indeed need the Marine bonus to survive this lobby. So this was a late kind of addition. And then in my mind, I was like, okay, now we've got Tsunami Stalker, so it doesn't matter, right? And so Tsunami Stalker is obviously something that I needed to bring in to get the Marine bonus. So I skipped 2 Abyssal Guards simply because I didn't think I needed it. But when I did need it, I had the Tsunami Stalker all ready to go. So Tsunami Stalker gives me that Marine bonus anyway, and he also gives me a lot more CC. The drawback is that he doesn't give me the Warrior bonus that I could have got from having Abyssal Guard in. So something that was a little bit difficult for me to sort of deal with here is that actually an even better way of winning this lobby probably would have been getting rid of maybe Venomancer, which is hard because it gives me the Warlock bonus, but then adding in both Abyssal Guard and also Abyssal Crawler to get myself the 4 Marine bonus. That probably would have been the ultimate way of dealing with this lobby, just because there was a lot of really heavy mage players. The only problem with that particular strategy in this instance is that there's also a very, very beefy Glacier Knight player, and that I kind of needed the Venomancer in order to get through some of the armor. Even though you can see that it's just, I mean, this guy's just too strong, and it's very difficult for me to deal with him. I'm probably never beating this Glacier Knight player, for instance, and I don't think. I mean, maybe the Dark Spirit would have been good, but then the Dark Spirit was also slightly worse versus the Mage players because the Venomancer is tanky and also provides armor shred, which allows me to get through the mages with very low armor already. So it is, like, once you get the armor shred on mages, you deal a lot of damage to them. So I was in a bit of a rough spot because there's basically 2 kind of different types of build that I'm dealing with. But what you can see now is that I've split my positioning so that I don't get everything wiped out in one Tortola Elder Ultimate Wave, and then I've also essentially added in the Marine bonus, which is allowing me to actually beat these really high-rolly these mage players, which is something that I've been struggling with. I put 1 Dwarf Sniper on either side, and I've tried to put my Agursis Ranger in the middle, so that means that it's very difficult for the mages to get like an exact kind of read on where it needs to be. Unfortunately here, this is a guy with a very, very, very strong God Mage composition. So I came very close to beating him, but realistically, like, he had like an absolutely insane God Mage composition in this particular lobby. So there wasn't much that I was going to do to beat the God Mage player, but the 6 Mage and the Dragon Mage player, I absolutely needed this Marine bonus. Plus the Marine bonus probably kept me alive in that one round there. I might have actually lost the round outright if I did not have the Marine bonus in this in that particular round. So the Marine bonus massively helping out. What are you doing? The Marine bonus massively helping out versus even the high roll God Mage player. So I'm actually looking for a Dwarf Sniper 3 here, and I do find the egg, which is going to give me a Dwarf Sniper 3. Dwarf Sniper 3 will allow me to have a really powerful tool at dealing with backline mages, because Dwarf Sniper is very good at targeting the backline mages that are weakest. And you can see here, this is the guy playing 6 mages, the 6 Dragon Mage player. And again, we beat him because the Marine bonus is such a powerful addition to the lineup that we managed to get on top of it. So yeah, now we get a Dwarf Sniper 3. Great, Dwarf Sniper 3. Don't think it's going to help me versus too many players. It will only help me versus the Mage player. It might briefly help me versus the God Mage player. I ended up adding a Fortune Teller here as well, by the way. I was like, maybe Fortune Teller will save me. Basically, if I lose, maybe it will save me. The problem is that I ended up playing the Glacier Knight player, whereas I've only really been positioning for the mages, because there are 2 mage players in this lobby and 1 Glacier Knight player, and you can't predict who you're going to fight. Very luckily, I got 3rd, and I think that really came down to the fact that I added the Marine bonus in. The Marine bonus massively helped versus the mages. We were never going to beat the Glacier Knight player. You just generally don't as hunters, especially when they high roll that hard. But we had a chance versus the God Mage player and the 6th Mage Knight player. So it really depended on who won and who got knocked out. But I think it was a good illustration of how good the Marine bonus is in the current meta. And I think it's one of the most underrated and most important bonuses that you can have for the current meta right now. All right, we'll see you soon.